Well, thanks again for joining us today, Rick. I really appreciate it. Honestly, I'm just gonna say hello and let you do all the introductions because you've got so much experience and things I'm sure you want to tell the kids about. So I appreciate you coming here.
No problem. Yeah. So I'll just talk a little bit about what I do and who I am and what I've done. So I have kind of a serial entrepreneur. That means that I'm serially or repeatedly starting businesses and being creative. I'm a business guy. I like helping people, customers, find the things that they want to buy and use and have in their life. I feel like if I can help somebody get what they want, that makes me a win as well. Everybody wins if everybody wins. So that's the kind of game that I do. I have started many businesses. I keep looking at my notes because I have a certain phrase to go by, but don't worry about that. I have so many years of business. Maybe I've been in business now 20 years. And I've started multiple businesses. I've had multiple locations. I started out with a textbook store that serviced universities, had 4 locations in 3 different states. And then we closed those down when textbooks went all to ebook, and there was a lot of codes you were getting. So your teachers wouldn't do their homework, but you do the homework with the code instead. And so textbooks kind of went away a lot. And so our business had a slowdown. We closed those up and decided to do some technology businesses where we were doing like a match.com, bringing people together, entrepreneur and mentor, not dating, which would be fun. There's enough of those though. We were bringing entrepreneurs and mentors together, investors together, so you could be able to find the people who could help you and you could help them. We worked with a lot of economic development centers and university entrepreneurship centers and chambers of commerce and Rotary clubs. But in the end, a lot of those organizations, they don't have any budget really. So to afford our fees was kind of hard for some of them. Though we did have some paying clients like Washington University, but it didn't materialize to the profits that I wanted. And sometimes you can't do everything for free. You have to move on to the next project. So I recently, maybe 3.5 years ago, started a company called Beer Sauce Shop with Andrew Tessmer. He's my former partner with technology, and now we're working together with the Beer Sauce Shop. And this is our brand here. Beer Sauce Shop. We have 3 stores now. My successes have been in retail. They've been in growing facilities, growing teams, growing a product base, and everybody has to find what they're good at. To find what their strengths are. If yours is technology, if yours is sports, if yours is communication, if it's retail, if it's food and beverage, whatever it is that you do you need to stay in that vein? Probably, because you're good at that. You're good at that for a reason. If you branch off and do something totally different, sometimes it's not successful because you didn't have the skill set in the beginning. Not always, but just keep that in mind. I work on in my lecture series as I used to teach at Lindenwood, where I taught for maybe 8 years, off and on. One class a semester, kind of adjunct. But what I would teach is how to develop an entrepreneurship mind, an entrepreneurial mind. That's kind of the game when it comes to entrepreneurship. You definitely have to have the right mindset. If you do, you'll be successful. You don't have to have the best financial background or the best marketing skills. You have to have the right mindset for creative work. That's the entrepreneurial mindset. And if you do have that, you're gonna succeed. So I'll tell you a story real fast to kind of accentuate that. There was this, all the stories I tell are true, by the way. I don't have any made up stories. This is all real life experience. So take that for what it is. But there was this girl who sat next to me when I was working in a call center. I was just trying to get through college, working in a call center. And she says, "Rick, I know you always talk about business. I want to tell you a story." And I said, "Yeah, sure." I threw my headset down, didn't want to be on the calls anyways. And I said, "Tell me about your story." And she goes, "Well, my dad, he's a big fisherman. He loves fishing." And I said, "Okay, what's that have to do with business?" She goes, "Well, he and his friends, man, they would always compete who could catch the biggest fish. And he would go down to the Ozarks and he would always bring back the biggest fish that next weekend. He was known as the most successful fisherman in his entire cul-de-sac. In the entire circle drive, he was the guy. And that made him happy. That's all he really cared about in life, was that he was known by his buddies as the bass man, That's what he wanted. And then 20 years later, they were at Bass Pro Shop, and they were walking around, and the daughter was there, and his wife was there. and they're walking around and they uh, saw this bass boat, and on the front of the bass boat was this light. And she goes, "Look, Daddy, that bass boat's like yours." And what's crazy about that is, does anyone know what would have been on the front of that bass boat? Does anyone know what was there? Probably not. It was a black light. See, when you go out and you fish at night and you shine your black light in the water, what happens is that water, that light will bring the fish to the surface and you can catch them. So he didn't have a special lure and he didn't have a special spot. He had the right tool and it brought the fish to the surface. He would catch them and bring back the biggest fish. Well, 20 years earlier, if he would have taken that light to market and actually sold it to the bass boat companies, patented it, he'd have been a millionaire, big millionaire. He'd have been on all those fisherman channels and, been a great time for him. But he didn't. Now, it's not wrong that he didn't. It's totally fine. But he didn't. He had his idea and he kept it to himself and he won his fish rewards in his cul-de-sac, but he didn't make the big money. And that tells us something. It tells us we all can have $1 million ideas. And we all do, actually. As the survey is, everybody has $1 million idea every 10 years. So you guys are going to have $1 million idea in the next 5 years. At least you'll have one, because you're already on your path to thinking that way, thinking entrepreneurially. So understand you're going to have $1 million idea, but how do you take it to the next step? And that's where the entrepreneurial mindset comes into play. So let's go through that real fast. There's 4 parts that you have to be able to do to make your idea that you've created successful. First is you have to be able to physically do it. Can you physically do the job? So I usually use the example of dentist. Do I have the physical skills to drill in people's teeth? Well, I don't, because I never went to school for it. I don't know what the tools are. I mean, I don't really care about that industry. Physically, I'm not prone to be a successful dentist. So no, that doesn't work for me. I can't open a dentist shop because I don't have the physical ability. I do have the physical ability to do my textbook store, for instance. I can carry the books. So, okay, that one works. Do I have the financial ability? So physical, financial, well, textbooks cost some money, but I got a loan. It was not that bad of a deal. I could start up kind of small and see what happens. So I could do financially. Do I have the finances to start a recycling company? Well, no, that's like a $100 million project. So I can't do that. In one of my classes at Lindenwood, one of the students said he was going to open up a recycling plant for Sao Paulo, Brazil. And I think that's like, I don't know, 15 million people. And I said, you don't have the financial ability to do that. You can't do it. He goes, but I'm going to do it. I'm like, but you can't do it because you have to have the physical ability to do it, the financial ability, the emotional ability, and the mental ability. So what's the next one after financial? Emotional and mental. We'll do mental first. Mental is your skill set that you've learned. Part of the dentist work is not just physically can you do it, but can you mentally do it? Do you have the smarts for it? And then the emotional side is, can you deal with the weight of that business on your emotions, on your family? Some businesses are harder. If you're an EMT, for instance, or if you're a police officer, some of those are stressful jobs, and they work on your will, on your core a little bit. And if you can't do that, if you can't emotionally endure that business or that opportunity, then maybe it's not for you. So those are the 4 things. Make sure you keep track of that: physical, financial, mental, and emotional. You need to be able to have all those fit for your business to succeed, so you can do the business. But one of the biggest questions I get when people talk with me, they ask me, but Rick, how do I get the idea? Everything's already made already. It's already there. There's no new ideas to make. Everything's been created, and all we're doing is enjoying the fruits of our parents' labor. I've heard that my whole life. Since the early 90s, I heard that. People were saying there was nothing new. In 2005, they said, well, we already created eBay and Amazon, so it's all done. But Facebook wasn't even created yet. So stuff has been being said forever. There's no more new ideas. Actually, there is new ideas. I'll tell you the secret of how to have a new idea and more $1 million ideas. It's pretty easy, but nobody really does it because they don't want to spend the time to do it. Does it take a lot of time? No, it takes about probably an hour a week, and you have to do it every week for a year. If you spend an hour a week How many hours would that be for the whole year? Well, heck, you got
52. Oh,
52, right? But that's actually not true because you take 2 weeks on vacation. So it's actually 50 weeks. But that's okay. I'll let you go this time. We're gonna let you go. It's a trick question. So you have about 50 hours out of 50 weeks in the year to create your ideas. Well, how do you get the ideas? This is how you do it. Every day, I want you to go and every week, be looking out for a new thing that doesn't exist in the surrounding economy. You've never seen it, it doesn't exist, but you think it should. Now, always people are going to say, oh, we need better toothbrushes, electronic solar powered toothbrushes. Well, I'm going to tell you right now, do not create the next toothbrush. That one's done. That one's gone. You're not going to improve it. Just forget about the toothbrush. But the idea is make something around you that can be improved. I can improve that. This is how it can improve, and I want you to write it down. So there's two ideas there. There's a new product or service that doesn't exist, and there's an improved product or service. If you do that every week and you get 2 ideas, a totally new idea that doesn't exist, and an improved product that hasn't been improved on yet, every week you get those 2 ideas. At the end of the year, you'll have about 100 ideas. At least a couple of those are $1 million ideas. Well, how do you know which is the best idea? Well, you don't know yourself. You have to ask people. Because one of the key things that you need to always know is it's not about you. It's not about your experience. It's not about your knowledge. It's not about your interests and what you like and about how much you want to pay for something and what colors you like the most. That's not what this is about. That's not what business is about. Business is about what everybody else wants, what colors they want to buy, how much they want to pay, well, how they like to be talked to, well, how they want to have the presentation of whatever it is you're offering. That's how you make money, is give the customer what they want. And so when you're trying to figure out which idea makes sense, ask other people and they'll give you feedback. Write down their feedback, write down your thoughts. Keep a little black book of ideas, an idea notebook is what we call it, the idea notebook. And at the end of the year, you'll have 100 ideas in there, half of which are brand new, never existed, that you could create, half of which are improvements on products or services that already exist in the market. And that's how you get your ideas. That's the extent of it. That's the magic. Take an hour a week. By the end of the year, you have yourself great ideas. Who here has, they think, a really good idea for a business? No one. Your ideas are terrible. I mean, yes, I agree. It's all terrible ideas. I'm just kidding. You probably have a good idea. Are you guys doing a business plan or some kind of a project in this class?
Yeah, some of them have ideas. Feel free to share. Come on, share some ideas with Rick.
I have a good idea.
Go.
So it's a nonprofit organization that's really targeted towards Clayton, and it's
Pause. So what's your name?
Anna.
Anna? Okay. You said it's a nonprofit organization. That's what you started with.
Yeah.
Why is it nonprofit?
Because we're not making money. We're not trying to make money.
So you're not going to make money.
I mean, we're gonna get money for it, but we're not like making money. No.
How are you going to get money for it? Again, I don't know what the project is. I'm just talking. We're going step by step. How are you going to get money for it?
Sponsorships and donations.
Okay. So because your financial model is donation, sponsorships, generous contributions, then the structure of your business being a nonprofit organization is correct. The reason I stopped you is a lot of people say they want to do a nonprofit or they want to do a social entrepreneurship venture because they want to give back to the community. But when you use the word nonprofit or the corporate setup of nonprofit, you're using that because that's where your money is coming from, not because you want to give back, because every business gives back. Every business that you see around here gives service to the community in some way. They all do, or they wouldn't be in business. But the how you get your money, that's why you structure it. If you were to say, we're going to do a nonprofit to feed, for instance, this is a true company. I'm working with them. They feed Haitian kids in Haiti. It's an American nonprofit company that makes food and gives it to people who are hungry in Haiti. That's what they do. But guess what? They make the food, and then a non-government organization comes in and buys the food. So they actually get their money because an entity buys their product. So they don't need to be a nonprofit. They can be for profit. They can be a partnership or a sole proprietorship or an LLC or an S corporation or a C corporation or whatever they want to be, because they're selling their product for money. So they're not getting their money from donations, they're getting it from actually selling a product. But they still are a nonprofit for other reasons that they have. The reason I bring that up is just so that the class knows, being nonprofit or for profit is simply depicting on how you receive your money, not depicting on if you're serving people. There was this one girl who came in to college and she whispered and says, I don't want to do a nonprofit. And I'm like, why are we whispering? and she says, well, all of my students, all of the fellow students, they all want to do nonprofit work because they want to give back, but I want to make money. So her mindset was that if she did a nonprofit, she wouldn't make any money. That was her mindset. But in actuality, some of the most wealthy businesses in the world are nonprofits. They make lots of money. Look at the Clinton Foundation, lots of money. So it all depends on how you get the money, not necessarily if you're doing a good deed. But I'm sure you're doing good deeds. But I just wanted to clarify. Okay, go ahead. What are you doing in Clayton?
So it's called Children for Charity, and it's getting, for now, there's like a lot of restrictions because of COVID, but we have a website and a Facebook account, and we're getting kids in Clayton involved in volunteer work outside of the community just because of how secluded Clayton is from what normal communities look like. And I want to open up kids' eyes at a younger age so they realize how fortunate they are at a younger age, and they don't enter into high school saying like, oh, wow, like I actually am fortunate. Like I want them to realize at a younger age. So for now, we're just posting on the website about volunteer opportunities, and on Facebook, we're targeting parents, and our Facebook account reaches 1,500 people. So, and it's also, I boost the post to target Clayton and St. Louis, and we're partnering up with Mission St. Louis and St. Louis Arc.
Mm-hmm.
And we're also getting sponsorships through them and getting donations through our website.
I think it's a great venture. That's a good idea. It's actually needed. I think the biggest thing, if I were to say one thing culturally that's needed in our population of all ages, is to show more gratitude for what we have, to be appreciative of what we have. I've been to lots of third world countries, and just walking down the street in America is amazing compared to a lot of these other countries. It's unbelievable. So being grateful for what we have needs to be there. And if you're helping kids realize what they need to be grateful for, parents are going to be happy about that, because some of these kids are not as grateful as they should be. I'm just saying, we need to be more grateful. So I agree with you totally. And having people find safe and helpful volunteer work to do, really a good thing to do. A lot of churches do this. A lot of boys and girls clubs, Boy Scouts, a lot of these organizations do this kind of work already. I like that you're teaming up with Mission. I used to work with them as well. Collaboration, another key for entrepreneurship class here, guys. Collaboration is the key to success. It's never, again, all about you. It's about what you can build together. I'm not saying that from any kind of like utopian society mentality. I'm saying it from, it's not good for us to do everything ourselves. It's good for us to work together. So when you hire an accountant, you're bringing them on your team, and it's now a collaboration. And when you are working with a nonprofit to move their mission forward, it's a collaboration. And everything is collaboration. In my current shop, beer sauce shop, we do a lot of collaborations with breweries and distilleries and barbecue joints. Duke's Barbecue in Winsville, we're making a sauce with them. A lot of collaboration, because you have to know that you're not the best. It's not about you. It's not about your skills. It's about what you can help other people achieve. And that's how businesses can be successful. So I like your idea. Who else has an idea? I only want good ideas. Nobody say anything if their idea is bad. Well, I'll just move on for now. If you guys want to speak up, you can later. It's no big deal. I'll move on because I got lots of stories here, and stories are good. All right. We did the idea notebook, and I hope you guys definitely follow that. Something else to know is, here's another story. It's about when I was working at Dairy Queen. So I was working at Dairy Queen. I didn't know what my goals were. I didn't know where I was going. I was 16. What the heck? You don't know what you're doing. But I knew I had to have some kind of goal. I needed to go somewhere. And I was working at Dairy Queen, and I had a manager, and they said to me, Rick, what kind of house do you want when you get older? And I said, I'm 16. I don't know about houses. I don't really care. I guess a 2-story. I don't know. And she goes to me, she goes, those double wides are really nice. And I said, double wide, you mean trailer? She goes, oh yeah, the double wides are so nice these days. Oh, and by the way, they are really nice these days. I'm just saying, there's great houses, and manufactured housing can be really a solution. But at the time, I was like, why is her goal to have a double wide? Like, why is that the house she dreams of? And I went home, I asked my dad, I said, Dad, why is she talking that way? I don't understand. I want to understand where she's coming from. And he says, well, the reason she's saying that is because that's what she knows. That's her experience in life. When you're doing business, you're going to find out that people are in their life with what they've experienced, what they know, and they don't know any more than what they know. And it's your job to not be like that. You have to get out of the mindset of only knowing what you know. You need to know that you don't know. That's what you need to know. And if you don't know, then you have to go and find out. What's that mean? That means, see the world a little bit with the purpose of learning, not on the purpose of partying. Go to college, have the family, move around a little bit, have different jobs. Realize there's stuff out there that you don't really know is there, and you need to get out and go do it and go be around it and learn from it. And until you do that, you're not going to know what's out there. In addition, when you're out there trying to learn, you have to have focus. You can't just be chilling, going day to day. You have to have a focus. So I always say you have to have a 5-year plan. And to achieve a 5-year plan, you have to first achieve the 3-year part of that plan. And to achieve the 3-year plan, you have to actually achieve your first year's plan. So it's a 5-3-1, right? Yeah, 5-3-1 plan. So when you guys are right now, what are you, 16 years old? How old are you guys? We'll say 16, plus or minus 17, whatever it is. You need to 18, AJ says, great. So you need to have a 5-year plan. So where are you going to be, AJ, at 23? Where are you going to be at 21, 3 years from now? What are you going to be doing? And if you have those big goals ahead of you, if you've planned out what the vision of direction you're going to go, then you'll be able to accomplish what you want to accomplish. That having goals helped me accomplish a big deal. By the time I was 30, I had started 4 businesses. I had 4 kids. I had a master's degree. I was teaching at university, and I was a millionaire. That was by the time I was 30. Now, how could someone accomplish that in 30 by the time they're 30? It's because when I was 12, I had a 5-year plan. Now, what was my 5-year plan when I was 12? It was to graduate high school. I mean, what else is my plan when I'm 12, right? But it was something that I could achieve and go for. When I was 15, 16, I knew that my high school graduation was coming up. I had to push that 5-year plan out. Well, now it was college, or it was a mission for my church. I served a mission for my church for 2 years. That was part of my goals. You always have to have these goals you're going toward. When you find that you don't have a goal you're moving toward, you're not moving. You're going backwards. That's just truth. And if you want to succeed and you want to go forward, you want to accomplish things, you want to be successful, and you want to have that entrepreneurial mindset, you have to have goals in your life, whatever they be. They have to be there. Otherwise, you're going to be just lost. And it's not fun being lost. All right. I'll give you here's another story about achieving your goals. I wrote a book. This is my book. It's called Entrepreneur's Bible, 52 Proverbs of Profit. And they're all Proverbs, and they have a little proverb blurb. And then they have, it's short, 2-3 pages with a little cartoon at the end. And a Wikipedia, because my name's Rick, so Wikipedia and a Yoda phrase from Yoda. It's just kind of fun and easy to read. I recommend it. Of course, I wrote it, so why wouldn't I? Don't read that book. That's a terrible book. But one of the Proverbs, Proverb number 2, it says, don't focus on what you're going through. Think about where you're going. And this is part of that goal. When I opened up my bookstore, I didn't know what I was doing. I'd never started a business before. I was thinking the most creative that I could, that I knew to do, whatever level that was. And my goal was, I'm going to buy textbooks from students at Lindenwood University. I'm going to buy textbooks from in the spring, in April, May, when they get out of college, May. And then I'm going to sell them the books in the fall, in August when they come back to school. I mean, not that creative. It's just kind of makes sense. You buy the books when people end using the books in the spring, and then you sell the books in the fall when they come back to school. So I opened up my business right across the street from Lindenwood, and I bought books. I was sitting there for a grand opening with the Chamber of Commerce. Chamber of Commerce came over and they did a grand opening with me. And we cut the grand opening. And as they're walking in the store to congratulate us on opening a business in St. Charles, Missouri, I said, this is what we have. This is where we're at. We're so excited. And they walked in and we had 32 shelf units, like units, and only one shelf of books. So we had a whole bunch of empty shelves everywhere. And everybody's like, where's your inventory? And I said, well, we're going to buy it next month. The plan is you buy in the spring and you sell in the fall. I mean, we're going to buy it next month. That's what the goal is. And everybody that was there visiting said, this guy is going out of business. I mean, this guy does not know what he's doing, because they didn't have the vision that I just explained about buying in the spring, selling in the fall. They had the vision of, you open up, you fill your store with doodads and tchotchkes, and then people come and they start buying little teddy bears and sweatshirts and such and pins. But I did my research and realized that textbooks was where the money's made, not in the t-shirt or the little football, but in the textbooks. That's the money. At least it was then. So we exploded. We made lots of money in that store. And we also give the students a really good deal. We were the cheapest price you could find. We were almost as cheap as Amazon, which is hard to do, by the way. So we were really competitive in our pricing and in our offerings, but we still made a lot of money. And that's the win-win I'm talking about. But it's also having the vision. You can't just be someone who doesn't have the vision. You have to know the direction you're going. Let's see. Something else you're going to realize. Maybe you have a great idea for a business. Maybe the Clayton deal is going to be a good idea, but maybe you realize that in the end, there's a problem. Maybe the students aren't coming to do the work that you have for them to do. Maybe the volunteer efforts you're trying to find, you can't find good volunteer service opportunities because maybe it's dangerous or maybe it's too far away or whatever the reason is, you can't get people to where they need to be. Some kind of thing will fall through the cracks and it won't perfectly fit. And guess what? That's exactly what it is. That's business. That's exactly right. Something's going to fall through and it's not going to work out like you planned. And that's when you pivot. Let me give you a story about YouTube. Who here knows the founder of YouTube? Okay, well, I raised my hand. So some of us do. So when I was down in Texas visiting their entrepreneurship competition, the guy was there, one of the heads, because guess what? He was the guy who created how YouTube puts ads on YouTube. Now, maybe you hate this guy now. Maybe you're just furious about this ad guy because you don't like those stinking ads. But the reality is he created the software that connected people like you guys with the ads that they were going to see. Because you don't see just any ad, you see specific targeted ads. Well, he was creating a software called, they call it big data. That's what they call it. When you're collecting all the data about you can collect about people. Getting big data, and then your machine, meaning your software, your machine is machine learning, it's learning what that data means, and then it's algorithmically or by math communicating that big data that it learned to the screen of the end user. That's how it works. Big data is all around us. Gather it together with the machine. You learn about that data in the software and machine, and then you present it to the end user as a commercial. to the right person in the right location, in the right age grade, in the right economic level, who's has the right interests that you have. And that's very hard to create that software. Well, this guy created the software and he was going to sell it to marketing companies as an add-on. Hey, tell your people that are marketing they can use this software too, and they can know who it is they need to target. He almost went out of business. He almost closed his business down. He was broke. Nobody wanted to pay him for his software. He pivoted 2 and 3 times, trying to redirect the software to the different kind of market in the marketing industry. And then he came across Google, who had just bought YouTube, and he said, maybe you guys need this for your ads? And they paid him $50 million for his software. That's exactly how it happened. And I know the guy. I mean, he doesn't know me. I know him. He doesn't know me. But I did meet him once. I'm going to say that. But the idea is he had to change his direction of his business until it ended up being a money maker. The average millionaire goes out of business twice, makes $1 million, lose $1 million, makes $1 million, lose $1 million. Finally, the third time makes the $1 million and keeps it. Same thing with your business. You start a business, you pivot second time, you pivot a third time, and finally you found the way to make money. This is the terrible bane of entrepreneurship, is this trial and error game that you're going to face. It's just part of life. It's part of what we face every day. Today, we're trying to hire people and find the right people. So tomorrow, we're putting together franchise documents for the company, Beer Style Shop, to franchise. The next day, we're trying to open up new stores. There's always these options to do, all these more big things to do, and we have to make them work. And sometimes we got to switch and pivot, and sometimes we got to close it down and then open up something else. That's just how games work. And I've spoke for a half hour, which is fine. I got tons of, I could talk forever. It's no big deal. I'll keep talking. But what I really wanted to find out for this class is I wanted to ask you, of all of you who are doing a business of some kind, do you have any difficult problems you're having a tough time overcoming? Because maybe in the next 30 seconds, I can give you some advice and I'll solve your problem. Maybe, let's hope that's the case. Maybe I can do that. Does anybody have any questions they can about their business or their project that you can't get past right now?
For me, honestly, it's just kind of brainstorming about what I really want to do. Still kind of having trouble with that.
I can't hear what's up.
Oh, for me, it's just kind of brainstorming ideas. I'm still kind of having trouble with that.
So were you here in the group when I was talking about the idea notebook?
Yeah.
Okay, so do that. I solved your problem. 3 seconds.
Oh.
If you do the idea notebook, you will have tons of ideas. And let me tell you the problem you're going to have. You're going to have this problem. I'm going to tell you right away. This is the problem you're going to have. You're going to think of an idea this week, and you're going to think of an idea next week. And by the end of next week, you're going to say, there's no more ideas out there. Because guess why? Because there's a part of your brain that is creative. I don't know where it's at. Is it right? I don't know where it's at, but it's a part of your brain that's creative. And that part of your brain doesn't exercise. It doesn't. Until you use creativity to create and think about new ideas. If you're driving on the bus home or whatever you're doing, and you're sitting here looking out the window and you see billboards and you see businesses and you see cars and you see people, you need to be thinking, how can this improve? What can change? As long as you're always thinking what can change, how can this improve about what you're seeing around you, you'll start seeing ideas everywhere. Everywhere you'll start seeing ideas. But you got to use that little part of your brain that thinks about how to solve problems and how to think about what's going on around you and question things. And as long as you start using that and you push past that second week of there's no more ideas out there, you push past that, by the 4th week, you'll see ideas everywhere. It'll be like the Matrix finally opened up and you can see the stream of language, the computer language. You can finally see it as Neo because you can see through what's directly in front of you. That's literally what will happen. Not literally, but kind of literally. That's what will happen. So push through on that idea notebook and it'll work for you. If you didn't get the Matrix comparison, then I don't know what to tell you. All right, who else has a question?
So I want to like start a website that pulls in like sustainable clothes, but like makes them like fashionable and kind of like keep up with trends and like stick with what's like being seen in like magazines and stuff like that.
So again, the first word I heard was sustainable. Now that's interesting to me. Tell me about that. What does that mean? Sustainable clothes.
Like sustainable fashion, so it's coming from like fair trade, like sustainable like resources instead of like fast fashion like Forever 21 or something like that, where they're like paying people like lower than minimum wage, like using materials that are super bad for the environment and are like killing the environment basically.
I'm going to be real with you. You want me to be real with you?
Yes, please.
When you start a business, you have to start it for them, not for you. It's not about what you believe. It's not about how you see the world. It's about for the people who are spending money. What do they want to buy? Now, is there currently a competitor in your industry, the clothing industry, that does sustainable online clothing sales?
There's a lot of different brands that are sustainable and fair trade and things like that. But my whole idea would be to like pick and choose from different websites and different companies, especially ones that like might not be as well known, and bring them all into one place for people to buy from. Kind of like a boutique, but online.
Is there not that right now?
I haven't found anything that brought in a bunch of different websites and designers. I've just found designers and their websites, but not necessarily a boutique that's focused around that specifically.
Buying clothing online, for me, it's pretty easy because I don't care if it fits perfectly, and I don't want to spend a lot of money. And I mean, who cares? I don't care. But what if you're someone who cares about it fitting right? And what if you are spending a lot of money for that item and you want it to fit right? There's difficulty with buying online. That's always been the case.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that that's always going to be the case, but I'm saying that's a problem that online clothing retailers have faced from the beginning. So I think you need to, if it were me, I would go after a bigger piece of the pie.
Okay.
If you want to start a boutique online, I would partner that with a boutique in person. Get a little $1,000 a month spot in Maplewood or downtown St. Charles, and see, or just go there and see, because they have those things there. See if they're profitable. See if they're successful. You're going to find out a lot of those boutiques are out of business pretty quick. They're in and out. They're not very profitable. And the reason they're not profitable and don't make a lot of money is because it's really hard to source the products, and it's hard to charge so much money if you charge for it. And there's really just a small part of the market that wants to feel passionate about what you're talking about. So if I were to do a business and I have 100 ideas in my notebook, 100 ideas, and I have all the time in the world, because I mean, I got nothing going on right now. I got 100 ideas. I'm going to choose the one that's going to do what? Do well for the customers and make me money. And then I enjoy. I mean, there's lots of motivations on all of it. And as long as you can physically, financially, emotionally, and mentally do the deal, then it makes sense that business could succeed. But if you have 100 ideas and sustainable clothing boutique is one of them you could do, but the profitability is little or likely of not being in business in 2 years, you might not choose that one. You might choose the other one, whatever the other one is.
Yeah.
Skateboard company. I don't know what it is, whatever it is, the other idea. So this is my recommendation. It's not about boutique clothing. My recommendation to you, to answer your question, is how I feel I can help you on this question is choose an idea that's going to have the greatest chance of success, especially on your first gig. Don't do a first gig that's really emotionally minded if that is not going to succeed. Because what you're going to do is you're going to get disappointed if it doesn't succeed.
Yeah.
We need you to be successful. We need you to make money. We need you to help the customers be happy. We need you to be in business, especially in COVID. 10% of the businesses are going out of business. It's crazy, crazy. We need you to stay in business. look through your idea notebook and pick an idea that has a high likelihood of success. It may not be the number one that you want to do, but you do want to do it, but maybe it's not the number one that you want to do. Maybe it is, maybe it's not, but choose the one that's going to be profitable. If you don't choose the one that's going to be profitable, even if you stay in business for 2 years, but if you're not making any money, you're not going to want to do it anymore. And that's really, really hard emotionally to deal with, because you feel like you wasted your time. You feel like you wasted your family's time. It's really hard. You don't want to start a business that's not going to succeed. So choose one that's not so pigeonholed as I think what you presented. Choose a little bit where there's a larger target market for your product. That's I'm not right. Nothing over here is right. I'm just giving you my thoughts. Hopefully that's an idea that you can run with.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem. Throw some more ideas out. If anybody has one. Something else I want to say about starting a business is you have to write a business plan, not because you write well. None of us write that great. That's okay. But you want to write it because it gets your ideas out of your head and puts it in a cohesive frame that someone else can read and tell us how we're good or bad. Again, it's not about your ideas. It's about implementation of those ideas. This is important. Anybody can create a great idea. We all can. We all have $1 million idea every 10 years. And then sometimes we keep it to ourselves, like the fish story. We keep the black light to ourselves and don't tell our friends about it because it's our idea. Well, what happens is the idea doesn't grow. It stays right there in his cul-de-sac with his fishing buddies. And that's not what we want. We want to have our ideas grow. How we grow them? Again, collaboration, asking people to give you feedback on the idea. Sometimes your idea is so intellectually protected that you have to get a non-disclosure agreement signed. That's like 1 in 1,000 opportunities. Probably not the ideas you guys are thinking about. So the whole NDA, keep it to myself, don't tell anybody, it's a secret, it's the best idea ever. That's probably not true for you guys because it's like 1 in 1,000. I mean, it's like probably not going to happen. Look at the odds. Tell everybody about your idea. Tell them all, ask them how you can do it better. Ask them if they'll buy it. Ask them if they'll sell it. Ask them if they'll be part of it. Because you need people on board who can passion for you, who can be a champion for you. That's going to be a key part, I think, of your success, is if you can really bring a crowd and a community around what you're doing. Otherwise, it's not going to work. So don't keep your secrets of the business. Don't keep your secret how-tos or recipes or whatever. Just go out there and try to find it. Try to find people to help you grow it. Because the entrepreneur who's successful isn't usually the inventor of the idea. It's the person who can take that idea to market the best. That's the person that wins, is the one who can build the system around the capitalistic entrepreneurial system around that venture. That's the person who succeeds. Most inventors die in poverty. But the people who come after the inventor, who can take that idea and bring it to market appropriately, they're the ones who end up making the money. Maybe you don't want to hear that. That's just how the facts lay. So it's more about the system you're building and less about the idea itself. It's more about how to get it done, not just what it is that you're doing. Does that make sense?
Can I throw my idea out there and have you like pick it apart?
Yeah, and I will pick it apart. I appreciate you allowing me, because I don't hold anything back. I just throw it out how I see it and let it fall where it is. Okay, is it Vassy?
Vassay.
Vassay.
Yeah.
I love it. New York.
Yeah. So my idea is basically a stock market for sports cards. So basically, people can invest in the ownership of a card, and that's the buyer's perspective, and then people can also put their own cards up to be invested in.
So you mean like a car, like let's say $1 million Bugatti, let's say, is that what you're talking about?
Sports cards, not cars.
Sports card, like a baseball card?
Yeah.
Ownership in a baseball card? I missed the idea, man. I was thinking cars. Go back again.
So basically, you're buying ownership stock in the sports card. It's a growing industry. about $5.8 billion market. And yeah, it's fractionalized ownership of sports cards. You can invest in them because the prices of sports cards are increasing so quickly. So at such a high price, it's hard to buy a full card a lot of the time for certain cards. So this allows you to invest with any amount of money that you have, just like you buy fractional shares of a stock.
Yeah, like buying fractional shares of Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so you're looking at it as an investment um, because the prices are going up, and you're selling shares of the item, whether it's a piece of art or whether it's a Bitcoin or whatever it is, you're selling a piece of this thing that's worth something so that more than one person can be a part owner in this thing because they can't buy a full ownership.
Right,
So
exactly.
what's your business idea? Is it forming the infrastructure, the technology, the web services that can do this shared ownership? Is that what it is?
Yeah, yes, it is.
I like it. It's going to make money. The reason I say that is because you don't have to have it, this technology that you build doesn't have to be specifically about sports cards or Bitcoin or gold or art, famous artworks. It can be about all of them. You can make a software that can share ownership in anything of any value. That's the key of your intellectual property, is the software, the algorithm that you build that can securely protect people's ownership and allow shared ownership of a thing. Now, those softwares exist. There are many. Are you aware of that?
Well, the thing is, what we would do is that, so since people can put their own cards up for others to be invested in, there would be no way to track what they were doing with the card. So what we'd have to do is have them ship the card to us, so we have so we know the status of the card. Otherwise, they have the ability to sell it, and then we don't know where the card is. So I'm looking for a more simplified approach to that, because I'm trying to make it as easy as I can for the consumer.
I'd like to say something. I know with like when it comes to like Pokemon cards and stuff, like really expensive ones, they have to keep them in like climate controlled areas so that the cards like don't, like the edges don't roll up. So that would also be something you'd have to think about, because if someone doesn't take good care of the card, that'll make the value go down.
Right. So I have to establish that trust with
Mhm.
the customers.
This is what I think you're going to find in your business. You're going to find that you are learning a huge amount about a lot of different types of things, whether it be about infrastructure of, like you said, the control, climate controls, whether it's about the financial transactions, whether it's about contracts, whether it's about different collectible hobby items, whether it's about the histories in our culture and our pop culture around these icons or around these cards or artworks or whatever. You're going to learn so much about so many things. You're actually going to be way smarter for doing that project. I have no idea how to do it because that's like a big company right there. And when it comes to technology production, you have to be real savvy in building this software. But I think that you're going to grow a lot for doing this business that you're talking about. I don't know if it'll make money. Maybe it will. Maybe it won't. I don't know. That's not really what I'm advising you on. I'm advising you on to keep going because you're going to learn a lot. In the future, you'll take those things that you've learned and you'll apply them in a different way too. I think this is a project that you're gonna grow in.
Thank you.
Hi, I also had a business idea I was hoping to get feedback on.
Sure.
So
It's the best. It's the best.
so me and my friend are planning on starting a mobile drive-in theater in like the St. Louis County area, where we could like set up, have a crowd come in, have an audience, and entertain them for a while. And after the show, we can completely pack up and move to a different location for our next show.
You'll make money.
Especially during the COVID times, because it's socially distant and it's still entertaining.
I think that right now, planning to have a business that succeeds because of COVID is not a smart endeavor. because COVID's going to go away. The restraints are going to go away. So starting a business now that satisfies COVID social distancing is probably not going to be a long-term venture. Now, your idea of offering a drive-in service, that will be around forever. Let me give you an example. Bounce houses, for instance, for kids' parties. I know a guy who owns a bounce house company. He started out selling exercise equipment, but then gyms popped up everywhere for $10 a month and people stopped buying exercise equipment and he had to change his business. So he started renting out bounce houses for some reason, but he made more money bounce housing than he did selling weights. So I think people want you to bring the party to them. That's what you're selling. You're bringing the party to them. You're not bringing them a movie. You're not bringing them the hardware of a screen in their yard. You're bringing them entertainment. And that's what people are buying these days. They're buying their experience that they have with their money, the experience they gain because they spent the cash on it. They're not really buying doodads as much anymore, doodads and tchotchkes. Acquiring stuff was all 2000s era. How much stuff can you acquire? How much the biggest house you can get? Now people are buying the smallest houses possible in Newtown, St. Charles, for twice as much money because they have the experience of the neighborhood. They're buying the experience. And that's where the future economy is at already and going even more. So if you're bringing communities a drive-in theater or a bounce house service or a soccer league or whatever to them, they're going to pay you for it and you're going to make money. I know a guy who owns a volleyball league, makes money. Baseball league, makes money. Bounce houses, TV, drive-in theaters. Again, keep in mind, your business is not TVs. Your business is entertainment, bringing it to their house. And that's where you're going to make money. It's not a full-time gig. I would say it's a part-time gig. It's a weekend thing. It's a Friday night party once a week when you can do it in the summers. But it'll make money and it'll be fun.
Thank you.
I've got another business idea. So one thing that I'm interested in working on is a publishing company for young authors under the age of 25 who may not have an agent. Not good.
I might have heard you wrong, but I thought you said a publishing company.
More for the marketing aspect. So as much as we would help, so there are self-publishing companies now, but the problem is that when they go to market it, they don't have the tools or anyone there to help them. No?
I thought you were talking about publishing books, right? Is that right?
Well, it's more about the marketing. So they first have to publish it,
Yeah.
but then it's.
So let me give you some really, really true numbers because I've done this. Okay, really true numbers. I know an author right now that makes about $5,000 a month on audible downloads from Amazon and direct printing from Amazon. I know a person who wrote a book. It's a great book. It makes zero money. It took him 3 years to write it. Makes no money. Books themselves are not really selling well at all. And it's not because of marketing lack. And it's not because they haven't thought of the way to get into their listeners' ears or whatever. It's because people aren't really consuming media in that way anymore. Books are not for making money. They're for being your new business card. They're for giving you added credibility when you're going to go and be a speaker or be a consultant. That's what books are. They're no longer a way to make money. And I'm just giving you the flat truth. So if you help people market their book, they have to pay you. And they're still not going to sell their book. I'm not being unreal here, being real. So what I would recommend is this. Don't do it. But if you want to be a marketer, there's a lot of ways you can make money, just not for books.
What about for? So I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
What about then? I know you're talking a lot about media, and what about something are becoming a much bigger or increase, podcasts or some other form of media to experience a book in a different way? Is there any market in that?
Yes. Through your ad revenues from your YouTube and podcasts, clicks, all the ads that come across YouTube, that money through doing your posts, there's money there. YouTuber money. It's not a lot. People think it's some kind of lots of money. It's not a lot of money, but there is some money there. But it's just not, it's not a a profitable industry to market newspapers, books, media, podcasts. It's just not. There are marketing companies that exist to help push Random House or push the newspaper industry articles. The clickbait stuff is out there. The spamming, emailing is out there, but it's just not. It's oversaturated and it's old. It's not current anymore. I'm not right. I'm not right. But if I were to give you advice, I would say, if you're going to be in the marketing industry, get a job in the marketing industry. You'll definitely make money and you'll learn a lot about marketing. Don't start a marketing company because you don't know all the things that you don't know. And there's so many dead bodies in the marketing industry and in the written word industry of newspaper, media, magazine, books. There's just corpses everywhere. I'm trying to give you some advice here. If you want to be in marketing, get a great marketing job, make your $60,000 to $100,000 a year, get some good experience. And after about 3 or 5 years, if you really found, hey, there's a need here. I have clients that I've gotten in my current marketing gig that will come to me and pay me to serve them. Then yes, then you can open something that makes sense at that time. I wouldn't say the 5 seconds conversation we had right now, which is not enough, but I wouldn't say that this direction is the way you want to go.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm sure some other people have some more questions for you. Can we take a real quick pick? Because I know some people got to get out of here at 2. And then if people want to stick around and ask a few more questions, Brentwood and Ladue folks are going to stick around for a little bit. So,
Sure.
All right. If any of you want to turn your screens on for a second here, pretty up your hair. That way we can take this real quick group pick. That'd be great. Yeah, there we go. Get it all looking good. Okay. Thanks, team. See, they're all there listening. All right. Ready, set, picture. 1, 2, 3. All right. Rick, listen, I can't thank you enough for coming on today. We really appreciate it. This has been awesome. And like I said, if anyone wants to stick around and ask any more questions about their specific business idea, I'm sure he'd be happy to answer a few more questions. So thank you.
Yeah, no problem. Glad to be here. I'll stay on. No worries.
Anybody else have any more questions, I guess, before?
I'm sure we will as everybody gets off. So the Brentwood just joined. We started at 1:30. So I'm sure that some of my kids have questions or possibly even like, if you could maybe just like summarize like what you did the first half. I don't know how much time you have, but.
No, I'm here to help. That's what we do. We're helping.